Why, when I have a right crosswind, my plane is what's called weathercocking, or pointing into the wind? My propeller, many times if you watch my videos, I tell my private pilot students, those who are just starting out, who explaining this to them in depth would be a little overload. What I always say is the plane always points towards its source of food, which is true. Here's the source of food, with the wind, the crosswind, and the plane points towards it, right? And that's pretty much where I end things there. It just sort of sticks in their head. The plane points towards its food. But let's talk about why. Why is the airplane weathercocking into the wind? Why, when I have a right crosswind, my plane is pointing right throughout my final approach course? Now, many people struggle in understanding what exactly is happening to make that happen. So here's the answer, and it's so much simpler than you probably thought. What's happening here is we have a right crosswind. Here's the extended center line of the runway. Throughout the entire final approach course, what are you, the pilot, doing? You are pointing the airplane in whichever direction necessary in order to keep moving and tracking along the extended center line or the final approach course of the runway. It's no different than when you're at cruise, tracking a course with a right crosswind. We have what's called a crab angle, or a wind correction angle. That crab angle, or the wind correction angle, essentially is a situation where your plane is pointing and moving in two different directions to offset the amount that the wind would push you off course. Well, let's assume that course at cruise is your final approach course. Your course is straight ahead towards the runway, but the wind is coming from the right, pushing you to the left. If you did not put in that crab angle, or the wind correction angle, guess what would happen? The plane, while facing or pointing towards the runway, over time would drift off course to the left because the wind is pushing it to the left. And so in order for us to maintain this course, the final approach course to the runway, while accounting or canceling out or dealing with this right crosswind, we must establish a wind correction angle, crab and turn into the wind in order to keep our bodies, our physical bodies, tracking towards the runway. So hopefully this dispels one thing out for you and now makes it clear. When you're on final approach with a right crosswind, the reason your plane is pointing right is because you, the pilot, intuitively know to do that in order to keep your physical body moving straight towards the runway. Otherwise, you will, if you don't put it in, you will drift. Same with the left crosswind. We're coming in final approach left crosswind. If we don't put anything in, no crab angle, we will drift. If we want to maintain our bodies moving towards the extended center line, we will establish a crab angle, wind correction angle, and move towards the extended center line. That's the first thing we need to understand. The reason on our final approach we face and point the wind is because we have intuitively a wind correction angle in, and that is to keep the plane moving and tracking the final approach course of the runway. I hope that's as clear as mud.